With Delaware and Missouri State moving up to the FBS this season, and conference realignment being back in full swing at the Group of Six level, it got me thinking about one team that doesn't get really talked about enough when it comes to the FCS to FBS move up. This team is a rival of Delaware, is located in a strong television market, and could be perfect for a conference like the Conference USA if they lose one of their teams. That team is the Villanova Wildcats, who are one of the premier FCS programs in the nation and could have a long-term plan in mind if they do move up. You are not going to want to miss this one. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you want to see move up to the FBS from the FCS in the comment section below. Villanova's football history is kind of a wild one. They started playing football in 1894 under head coach Mike Murphy and would play in 5 bowl games, including the Bacardi Bowl and the Liberty Bowl. They would tie Auburn in the 1936 Bacardi Bowl, lose Kentucky in the 1947 Great Lakes Bowl, beat Nevada in the Harbor Bowl, beat Wichita in the 1961 Sun Bowl, and lost to Oregon State in the 1962 Liberty Bowl. They were one of the few schools that played through World War I and World War II. Yet in 1981, the school would decide to drop the football program in the middle of spring practice. 87 years and 760 games of history were just thrown out the window. It surprised coaches, players, and students. Father Driscoll explained, for nearly 10 years, the expenses connected with fielding a major college football team have come under periodic review. The board feels that the university cannot, in good conscience, do other than reevaluations its priority when a third of the buildings on campus require renovations, when up-to-date laboratory equipment and facilities need to be acquired, and additional scholarship aid provided, to name a few unmet priorities. Football was the second oldest sport on campus, with baseball first beginning in 1866. Al Harvin from the New York Times wrote back in 1981, over the years, Villanova won 383 football games, lost 337, and tied 40, a .53 winning percentage. But in recent years, basketball has become more profitable. The basketball team was in this year's NCAA tournament, losing to Virginia in the East Regional Tournament. The New York Times reported the school had lost $315,000 in 1971 and considered dropping the sport then. Coaches found out about the program being dropped while out recruiting players and getting them to sign for the next season. The Wildcats were coming off their first winning season since 1976 and almost beat Maryland, falling 7-3. After 4 years of pressure on school officials, in 1984 the school announced that it was going to reinstate football. The man chosen to lead the program would be Andy Talley. According to the Courier-Post, Talley was coming off a season where he led St. Lawrence University to its first undefeated season in 30 years. He took the job because he felt school officials were serious about resurrecting the program. He was known as a great recruiter and had a lot of praise from previous coaches and players who were members of his teams. He was a Pennsylvania boy, being a native of Bryan Moore. The plan was to practice in 1985 with any players that were still on campus when the school cut the team and recruit players. In 1986, they played a Division III schedule and moved up to the Division I AA level in 1987. When Talley took over the job, there was nowhere for him to work, and athletic officials wanted to put him in a trailer next to Villanova Stadium. NBC Sports Philadelphia wrote back in 2016, but showing the determination and resourcefulness that would come to define his 31-year tenure, Talley said he enlisted the help of a couple of carpenters working on the pavilion to build the coach's office and the bomb shelter inside the stadium that are still there today. Talley explained, that's how I started here. There were no offices, no players, no coaches, and I had no reputation with anything at that point. But it was a tremendous journey for me. He put together an amazing career, coaching over 32 seasons at Villanova, going 229, 137-1, and coaching Brian Westbrook, Brian Finneran, and John Robinson, all to be named Walter Payton Award winners. In 1989, Villanova would win their first Yankee Conference title with an 8-3 record and would make it to the Division I AA playoffs for the first time in school history. A game they would lose to Georgia Southern 52-36. In 1997, they beat Colgate in the first round to earn their first win in the playoffs, and in 2002, they would make it to the semifinals, falling to McNeese State 39-28. His best season would come in 2009, though, when they would win their first national title, beating Montana in the title game 23-21. They would come so close to repeating in 2010, but fell to Eastern Washington 41-31 in the semifinals. Throughout his career, he led the Wildcats to 12 NCAA playoff appearances, 6 conference championships, and the 2009 national title. But his best work was off the field through his bone marrow foundation, the Andy Talley Bone Marrow Foundation. Talley almost led the Wildcats through a transition to the FBS. Following their national title winning season, Nova was considering a move to the FBS to join the Big East Conference in football. There was one major roadblock at the time. The NCAA used to have a very strict stadium requirement of a capacity of 15,000 average attendance, and Villanova Stadium only held 12,500. Athletic Director Vince Nicastro said Big East Commissioner John Renato approached school officials shortly before Labor Day and expressed interest in the expansion. There was no formal offer. Instead, it was more of a mutual interest courtship. At the time, Villanova was a member of the Big East for other sports except football. They had rejected an invite to play in the Big East for football in 1997, with that invite going to UConn instead. The school planned to play at PPL Park Soccer Stadium, since Temple already played at Lincoln Financial Field. PPL Park had a capacity of 18,500 fans, and the school was about to vote on a stadium upgrades for Villanova Stadium when the Big East vetoed the plan to play at PPL. Then all hell would break loose due to conference realignment, and the Big East would lose founding members Syracuse, Pittsburgh, and West Virginia, as well as Rutgers. Due to uncertainty with the Big East football, the Board of Trustees would never vote on the move to the FBS level. In December of 2012, Villanova and 6 other basketball-centric schools in the American, the new name for the Big East Conference, would choose to split off from the conference and make their new Big East Conference with a focus on basketball. Heading into the 2016 season, Talley would announce he would be retiring following the season. While Villanova would conduct a national search for the next head coach, the first-year athletic director would choose to promote Mark Ferrante. Ferrante played for Talley at St. Lawrence and coached under him in 1983 before spending time at Wagner and Lafayette as a running backs coach for both schools. In 1987, he was hired by Talley to join the Villanova staff, serving as their outside linebackers coach, moved to the offensive line coaching job in 1989. In 1998, on top of his O-line coaching duties, he would be named associate head coach. He was a key member of Talley's staff that laid the groundwork to make the Wildcats one of the premier FCS football programs in the nation. Talley was super blessed to see his long-term assistant be given the head coaching job, explaining, "A lot of ADs would want to come in and get their own guy. For him to buy in, he did his homework and realized we have a solid ground. It was beautiful the way it all worked out." In his last season, Villanova would finish the year 9-4, losing in the second round of the FCS playoffs to South Dakota State 10-7. In 2020, he would be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. In his first season as head coach, Ferrante and the Wildcats would struggle as they would have their first losing season since 2011 and followed that up with a second straight 5-6 season, the first time they had back-to-back losing seasons since 1994 and 1995. In year 3, they would right the ship, finishing the year 9-4, making it back to the FCS playoffs, losing the first round to Southeastern Louisiana 45-44. In 2021, Villanova would win the first conference title under Ferrante and the first conference title since 2012. They would lose in the quarterfinals of the playoffs to South Dakota State 35-21 to finish year 10-3. They would win the conference title again in 2023, losing in the quarterfinals to South Dakota State again 23-12. Last year would be another strong year as they would finish the season 10-4 and lost a heartbreaker to Incarnate Word 13-6 in the second round. They would beat rivals Delaware as the Blue Hens finished their last season at the FCS level 38-28, but had the bad taste in their mouth as the Blue Hens were accomplishing something they could not do over a decade ago and move up to the FBS level. In 8 seasons, Ferrante has led Villanova to a 57-33 record, 2 conference titles, and 4 appearances in the FCS playoffs. Heading into this season, Villanova will have a brand new quarterback, returns a bunch of their contributors from last year across the board, including running back David Avitt and linebacker Shan Hartzell. They are one of the favorites to win the conference, with Rhode Island and Monmouth also being part of the conversation. Heading into the 2026 season, Villanova will actually be making a conference change, something that came to light in June. Villanova will be leaving the CAA, a conference they first joined in 2006, to move to the Patriot League. They're the third CAA member to leave for the Patriot League, joining both Richmond and William and Mary. Patriot League Commissioner Jennifer Heppel spoke on the move, saying the addition of Villanova as our 10th football member represents a significant and exciting moment for the Patriot League. Villanova has constantly demonstrated excellence on the field, establishing itself as a premier FCS football program while also upholding a strong commitment to academic achievement. Combined with the recent additions of Richmond and William and Mary, and the continued strength of the current members, the expansion solidifies the Patriots League's standing as one of the strongest in the FCS. They join a conference that includes Bucknell, Colgate, Holy Cross, Lafayette, Lehigh, Fordham, Georgetown, and the aforementioned Richmond and William and Mary. The CAA commissioner was disappointed that Villanova chose to leave the CAA, going on to say in the statement, the administrators, coaches, and student athletes in the CAA remain committed to competing at the highest level of the FCS football, achieving multiple playoff bids on a yearly basis, and contending for national championships. The CAA has a long history of excellence in the FCS, and the desire to build on that tradition has never been stronger. The CAA has lost a handful of their top-of-the-line programs, with departures of 3 teams that joined the Patriot League, as well as the loss of Delaware and James Madison to the FBS level. The Patriot League is building up a football side of the conference, with 8 of the 10 programs having finished ranked in the stats performance in AFCA FCS coaches poll since 2015. During that span, the 10 programs have combined to win 17 games in the FCS playoffs, advancing to the quarterfinal round 8 times, including 2 apiece by Colgate, Richmond, and Villanova. Holy Cross and William and Mary have both advanced to the quarterfinals once. The culture of Villanova when it comes to sports has always been towards basketball when compared to football. The reason they almost moved up to the FBS level back in the 2000s was for basketball reasons, as they were a member of the Big East Conference when it came to the hardwood. Under former head coach Jay Wright, they won 2 national championships and made the Final Four on 4 separate occasions. Following the national championship in 2016, they saw their application pool explode due to the national championship effect, where everyone wanted to go to Nova to be a part of the basketball success. The men's team plays in the Finneran Pavilion, a 6,500 basketball seat arena on campus, will also sell out Wells Fargo Center from time to time, the home of the 76ers and Philadelphia Flyers, which is a 21,000 seat arena. In comparison, Villanova Stadium only has a capacity of 12,500 seats, and was one of the problems the school faced when they did attempt to move up to the FBS level in the past. Back in 2023, Elijah McDowell from the Villanovan explained football culture on campus, writing, "While most seats are filled for Villanova basketball games, the only time this is guaranteed to happen for football is 3 times per season. The first home game usually brings in the large crowd, followed by Parents' Weekend and Homecoming. Other than these dates, the seats in Villanova Stadium are mostly empty or empty at halftime." Co-sports editor of the Villanovan at the time explained to McDowell, "I think the FCS label has a lot to do with it. There's a stigma around FCS football as a lesser game than the FBS counterpart. It's true in some respect. There's a definite jump in talent from the CAA to the SEC or Big Ten. With some exceptions, you're not going to see guys that will go to the NFL. I think the other part of it is where the university's attention is going. The men's and women's basketball programs garner the most attention from the university because of their historic success. So it's where the majority of the students' interest lands. If the university paid more attention to football, more students would probably be interested in it. Villanova students will support a winning football team. The question is how they support falters when the team's not making the playoffs or particularly outstanding in a certain year. Could a jump to the FBS help raise the profile of a football team? It could, but at the same time, it will most likely be playing as a member of the Conference USA or another Group of 6 conference, so it wouldn't be viewed as the same way as if they were in the Big Ten or ACC. Villanova's biggest draw would be their basketball program, but they are already a member of the Big East, so I do not see that happening for them, and them leaving for a smaller conference just to bring football up to the FBS level. If you're a Group of 6 conference, you have to be okay with letting Nova be an associate member for football, and hope the branding of the school overall helps make them worth it. I mean, our current Pope did go to the schools, so the branding of the school may be worth it. If you're Villanova, you also need to make the upgrade to your football stadium. While you have schools like Kennesaw State playing in stadiums that hold less than 9,000 people, and the NCAA has relaxed their attendance rules, Villanova Stadium only holds 12,500 fans and was built in 1927. It did get a major renovation in 1999 and a new scoreboard in 2009, but to move up to the FBS level, major upgrades are needed. Delaware, who just made the move up, are currently putting in a major upgrades to their stadium and just went through a major renovation as completed in 2020 and added new video boards in 2023. Take Villanova Stadium to the next level, it will cost a decent chunk of money, and I don't know if the school is willing to pay for it. Back in 2023, the cost to move up to the FBS level was raised from $5,000 to $5 million, which I believe both Delaware and Missouri State both paid, and Sacramento State is planning to pay as well. Is the school willing to spend that money with basketball being their calling card? The next question that needs to be asked is, what conference would Villanova be joining? The first conference that comes to mind is the Conference USA because of its addition at Delaware. Conference USA may be losing either Western Kentucky or Louisiana Tech to the Sun Belt. I'm recording this video before the meeting on Monday the Sun Belt scheduled, FYI. And may be looking to replace their lost member with a team like Villanova. Gives Delaware a regional rival and provides the conference with the Philadelphia television market, or bolsters it along with the additions of Delaware to help raise the television deal. For Villanova, is a $750,000 a year television deal worth it though? It would take almost 7 years to make back their move-up cost at that rate, and does that move the needle for alumni and students to attend games? The Sun Belt could also be looking for a 14th member still, and hit gold already with the additions of former CAA member James Madison recently. James Madison and Villanova could renew their rivalry, and it could create a marquee game for the Sun Belt. They were okay with not having Nova basketball. The television contract would pay out $2 million a year, making it more of a bang for your buck if you're Villanova. I do not see the American being an option without basketball being a part of the move up, and the Mountain West and Pac-12 do not make sense due to geography. When Delaware was considering moving up to the FBS, the MAC was always talked about as a possible destination for them. The schools line up with each other when it comes to academics, and it would not be far away geographically to play in the conference. The conference payout for their television contract is also more in line with the Sun Belt than the Conference USA. The issue is the MAC schools are going about things. I'm worried the conference is not here to stay for the long run. Overall, I do not see Villanova feeling the need to move up to the FBS level because the value the basketball program brings them. That being said, the only reason I could see them moving up is if they have their eyes on and moving to the Big 12 at some point for basketball and all sports. The Big 12 will not view them as a legitimate expansion option if they do not have their football team at the FBS level. UConn has not been given an invite to the Big 12 due to how poor their football team was for so long. They're able to move up to the FBS level, play competitive football, and prove they are not going to be the bottom of the FBS. Then I could see them wanting to make the move up to earn a seat at one of the big boy tables when it comes to making decisions for all sports. If they were to make it into the Big 12 conference, they would earn a total of $34 million compared to the $7 million they earned from the Big East television deal. That would be the only reason I see Villanova wanting to jump up to the FBS level for football. But is the gamble worth it? Even if the football team is decent, they still may get passed up for another school. And if their football program is bad at the FBS level, it could diminish the Villanova brand. At the end of the day, it is what the administration feels like is the right next step. But as they say, scared money don't make money. What do you think? Should Villanova move up to the FBS level in football? And if they do, which conference do you think they join? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.